Welcome to the feature match area here at GP Brussels, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Riley Knight, joined by the Pro Tour champion Simon Gertzen as ever, and we have a feature match ready for you for Good Morning Magic. Per Stuursen and Rob van der Burg, and this inspiring vantage, Simon, one of the less played fast lands in Standard, but ooh, look at this. Look at this deck.
What are we looking at? Path of Metal,
Mm-hmm.
Resplendent Angel.
Goblin Chainwhirler. And look at that mana, just perfect. He can
Perfect,
cast Resplendent Angel and Goblin Chainwhirler on turn 3 every single time. Not a problem. Here's Champion of Wits from Per Stuursen, who is playing a more mid-range focused version of the blue-black deck that we've seen. Bit of a blasty from the pasty here. This one hasn't been around for, well, it's been around for a long time. It hasn't been around recently, I should say. But this red-white Angels and Dragons deck, I came in this morning and it was very proudly showcased by the coverage team here. We're going, yeah, we'll put this one on display. And Frank Karsten, seething in his boots there, going, it's playing Goblin Chainwhirler. It's playing Resplendent Angel. It doesn't have enough coloured sources for both of them. It doesn't have enough creatures for Path of Metal. Mm-hmm. It's got more 5-drops than 2-drops.
All of which is clearly wrong because you can see that the mana is perfect.
The mana is perfect. He's at 7-1. Frank Karsten seems to have dropped a few. He hasn't carried the 1s or the 2s in his calculations.
Not everyone uses Frank's public mana-based table calculation.
No. Vraska's Contempt now taking care of the first play of the game here for Van der Burg as the Champion of Wits gets in again. But yes, not everyone uses Wolfram Alpha to determine the perfect number of mana sources. Sometimes you just got to wing it. Speaking of winging it, taking to the skies now with the Rekindling Phoenix. And it's all coming up roses for Van der Burg here. Not a misstep, nary a stumble, Simon. Champion of Wits getting busy once again. Ooh, what's this? Very highly suspicious attack, I would say here. Highly suspicious.
Maybe Per actually wants his champion to die. Could be one of the reasons. Okay. Well, he has one in the graveyard, though.
So in comes the Rekindling Phoenix. Van der Burg. And when we say Angels and Dragons, we mean it. There are 7 Angels in this list. There's not only Lyra Dawnbringer as a 4 of, also Resplendent Angel and Shalai, the Voice of Plenty.
Angels and Dragons and Phoenixes and Planeswalkers didn't fit on the line there.
Yeah. We kind of ran out of real estate there. I just love it, though. It's like, I've got all these sweet mythics, and I've only got 60 slots in my deck. And I have to play all these lands?
Yep. No more space for 1 and 2 drops.
Yeah, I mean, boring. Who cares? Let's play all the good cards, mate. And Rob van der Burg at 7-1, which is a very impressive record for a deck that, on paper, well, again, to put it mildly, raising some eyebrows amongst the more number-focused of team coverage here. But hey, scoreboard, mate. In comes Champion of Wits once again.
And one thing that I've mentioned before is that this is a standard metagame which is quite clearly defined. So if you can exploit that with the right cards, certainly has something going for it.
And we see now the scrolling text deck name there, manually updated to bring you the very best description possible. Here is Liliana Death's Majesty. Looks like Stuursen has some mythics of his own here. And that is a full art token there by the look of things from Unhinged. Over to Van der Burg now. See what massive rare he's going to slam into play this time. Oh, boo. Just an uncommon. Here's Ixalan's Binding. Nice, tidy answer there to Liliana Death's Majesty.
We actually saw White-Blue Control deck yesterday playing a bunch of enchantments. History of Benalia, Ixalan's Binding, and Gideon's Intervention.
Yes. Yes, that one is a real spicy one. Played Secrets of the Golden City as well to really capitalize on the permanent-based deck list there. Now, Stuursen does have a second copy of Liliana in his list. Let's see if that Ixalan's Binding proves to be a problem. In hand for him, double Fatal Push, Hostage Taker. Something other that I didn't get a good look at there. I think he's considering a Hostage Taker on the Phoenix. Does that make sense? Any sense to you, Simon?
I think it's better once you have 8 mana just to immediately recast the Phoenix.
Yeah.
I like this Eternalize on the champion a lot. right on curve, draw 4, discard 2.
We just had an excellent deck name suggestion from Sleeper13. Looks like Sleeper 0 through 12 are already taken. Red, white, take flight.
Take flight. Yeah,
I like that. Oh, and Rich Hagen. Up like a gazelle over to the console to rename the deck. Thank you, Sleeper13. I do apologize that you weren't able to get a, the coveted Sleeper12 handle on Twitch. Red, white, take flight. Look at that. Poetry in motion. Taking to the skies once again. Here's Lyra Dawnbringer. Not pumping up the Phoenix, but all the same, very difficult threat to attack through, even with that 4 Embalmed or Eternalized Champion.
Now if the Lyra survives, but it might also get taken now by the hostage taker.
All those fatal pushes looking rather embarrassing in the face of all of these 5 drops. For Sturson. Looks like he's got the Scarab God, though. Look at this. What happened to the Scarab God? What happened?
Is that like a lore quiz?
No, like from a gameplay perspective. He used to be absolute king of the hill.
Yeah, now it's more like an afterthought.
Yeah. Like, oh, remember this card? Oh, it's still legal in standard. Look at this. 2 other copies of Lyra Dawnbringer in hand for Vanderbilt. He's playing 4. So he's tasting a little bit now. Having to deal with a legend rule. But all the same, getting it in for 9 here in the air. Not much that Sturson can do to prevent this. Those fatal pushes can't go after the Phoenix just yet.
And Pear has a lot of damage of his own. 6, 8, 13 plus potential triggers. So Rob is playing with fire here a little bit.
So, Vanderbilt now. Are we going to see a fatal push on the zombie, which is then going to take out the Phoenix? That's a cute play here from Sturson. But the problem there, Simon, is now that the second fatal push is gone, it's not going to be able to answer the elemental token.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
I mean, again, it's cute, but I don't know.
Oh, but there is the Scarab God, so actually the Phoenix will not come back.
Okay, all right, that's actually fine. Here's the history of Benalia now. An actual 3-drop, wow. Going to make a Knight token here. Love this card. There it is. Little 2/2 Vigilance. Looks like Vanderbilt does have ways to get on the board before turn 4, after all. Not that he needs them, Simon.
Well, if all his lands are untapped on turn 3.
Well, no, we saw Inspiring Vantage into Mountain into Clifftop Retreat every time. Easy Goblin Chainwhirler mana. Cast Resplendent Angel. Oh. See what Sturson's going to do here. Looks like in his upkeep, we are going to see a Scarab God bring back a Hostage Taker. That's a nice one as well. Looks like it's going to take that Lyra Dawnbringer here. And Vanderbilt takes 2. Sturson scries 2. Because that Champion of Wit's already a zombie. Zombie Naga Wizard. Did both of those go below deck, I think?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I think we went bottom. Essence Scatter in hand. Looks like another... That's a Gifted Aetherborn in hand there for Sturson.
Yep, very classical blue-black mid-range list there.
Yep. Just like your mummy used to make.
Can now use the Scarab God to get back the Phoenix. I think that's probably better than to exile it through some other means.
Yeah, it's just a nice tidy answer to it.
You could use the Never to Return in the graveyard, but if you can get the Phoenix on your side, I think that's just a lot better.
And when it dies, it still creates the token, but then obviously won't be able to return anything because there'll be no Rekindling Phoenix in the bin there.
It'll be exiled either way.
Looks like Vanderpur realizes that he's probably not going to get a chance to get this Phoenix back. So as a result, we're going to see the Elemental token line up a chump block, often called an egg token. I disagree with this nomenclature because Phoenixes don't come from eggs.
No, it's an ash token, actually.
Ash token is what it should be. Finely crafted ash statue there. Looks like it's gone to Morrowind. And here's Lyra Dawnbringer, changing sides. So much for the fidelity of Angels.
And pair, because Rob blocked with his Ash token, didn't even have to exile the Phoenix from the graveyard.
So Van der Beer, plenty of options to play in the standard format. Looks like he's loving Angels instead.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of them in hand. 2 more Lyra Dawnbringers. You thought the Dawn had already been brought the first time, but no. Plenty more Dawn to be brung by the look of things.
Unfortunately, pretty clearly losing the race here.
Even with the massive Angels.
Yep.
So in hand, I think that's another Ixalan's Binding. I mean, these Dawnbringers can crash and clash against each other, but even at the relatively lofty 12 life, does Van der Beer have enough to hold off this onslaught?
I think the main problem we see here with the curve of the red-white deck is not that it didn't do anything before turn 4, but rather that afterwards it was limited to 1 spell a turn. So Rob really fell behind on the board quite easily. Pair didn't even have to do much. Could afford to double Fatal Push to deal with the Phoenix, and still has place for days.
And now another Fatal Push, removing the blocker that is going to prevent Rob Van der Beer from dying. So with a fatal attack coming in, he has to pack up his cards. So red-white take flight doesn't quite get through in game number 1. We'll see if things improve for him post-board, but Per Sturson kept a steady hand against this off-the-wall deck and was able to take it down with the, I have to say, the very high power level of the cards that he was bringing to bear. We haven't seen blue-black mid-range, but there's no doubting that these cards haven't changed in objective power level, Simon.
No, absolutely. And I just noticed Pair's record here. 602. No losses for the blue-black mid-range deck.
Undefeated. Well, we'll see if red-white 1 spell a turn is going to be able to upset that. I was going to say perfect record. Not a perfect record.
Undefeated.
Undefeated record. Yep. Let's have a look at the sideboards of these 2 players. Kick things off with Per Sturson and see what he's working with here. An Ether Meltdown, Argul's Bloodfast, Essence Extraction, Gonti, Lost Legacy, Vizier of Many Faces, and Yahenni's Expertise, all of one-ofs. Then 2 copies of Negate, 3 copies of Duress, and 3 Glint Sleeve. Siphoners love to see them in the board there. What's he going to get up to post-board here, Simon?
Those cards are not really great against red-white, whatever you want to call it.
Red-white perfect mana?
I kind of like Glint Sleeve Siphoner.
Yeah.
In general, I wouldn't bring it in against a red deck that also has Goblin Chain Roller, but in this particular case, Pair hasn't seen the Chain Roller, doesn't even know if it's in the deck, because it would actually be taxing on the mana. And then you are playing kind of a value game in this matchup.
Let's have a look at what's going on in Rob Van der Beer's red-white Rich is updating the deck name right now list. Angels and Dragons, we've come full circle here. 1 Abrade, 1 Chandra, 1 Cleansing Nova, 1 Forsake the Worldly, and then a pair of Banefires, Cast Outs, Fumigates, and Khans, and 3 Chandra's Defeat to top it off here. What are your thoughts, Simon?
I think Chandra is amazing. I would probably play more in the main deck, in such a mana-hungry deck. The rest of the cards I don't like very much. It doesn't solve the main issues of the Scarab God, of all the value that the blue-black mid-range deck has to generate.
Even sweepers, things like Cleansing Nova, Fumigate, not interested in them. I mean, the mid-range deck doesn't have to play a heavy creature game, but
it can win. It can win with like 3 creatures on the battlefield, even 2. You have Hostage Takers, you have the Scarab God, you have Champion of Wits coming back. I don't think mass removal is what you want to do, because in the end you're also playing a very board-centric game.
I think one thing that Van der Beer really has going for him is the surprise factor, right? There'll be players who come to this tournament, they've tested the matchup, they know different matchups, they know what their sideboard plans are, or broadly speaking, how they want to approach the format. And then all of a sudden, someone is beating you down with a Goblin Chainwhirler curved into Chandra into... Oh, wait, that actually sounds pretty normal. Never mind. The point is here, Vanderbeur's deck it's weird, right? And he's going to get some level of equity from that fact.
Absolutely, and like I said, I think Pair doesn't have a particularly good sideboard against this deck.
Let's have a look at the standings at the end of day number 1 here. You'll notice very quickly that we had a whole bunch of undefeated 8-0 players, 8 of them in fact. And right at the top there, the Belgian superstar on home soil, Pascal Vieren. One half of the Vieren Brotherhood, Peter Vieren also, part of that iconic duo, but he isn't amongst the top players this time around. And we can still see some huge names as well amongst the 7-1s. Thomas Hendricks had dinner with him last night where he complained very loudly about having lost his last round. And even Flock also, who, surprisingly, Simon, didn't complain about the loss that he picked up.
Yeah, lots of big names. The biggest one, Panagiotis Papadopoulos.
Definitely, certainly that is, yes, the biggest name indeed. Anna Huschenbeth also going toe-to-toe with Papadopoulos in terms of last name only. Obviously, Anna can't go up against Panagiotis, but Huschenbeth, a strong contender against Papadopoulos.
Marc Tobias, Thomas Hendricks, Pierre Danjon.
Not even trying.
Even Floch.
Even Flock. Get him out of here. 9 letters total.
Timon Blankefort, I think,
Better
is in the Dutch national team.
Okay.
Didn't win the national championships, but is qualified there.
Very.
So I think that the 7-1 bracket looks super strong.
We did fail to mention, of course, Alexander Gordon Brown totally dominating the 8-0s. His name is so large it doesn't fit into the prescribed cell that has been given here.
Clear winner, I'm sorry,
yes.
Alexander.
Yes, sorry, Alexander, for overlooking that one there. Move on now to our second page, and you can see once again the hits don't stop. We've got Niels Moller, the Dutch former English captain, of course, one of the in the proud tradition of the English World Magic Cup team having non-native English captains there. They've had Canadians and Italians and people from Jupiter in the past. And also, look at this, Martin User. As many of you, I'm sure, are following on Twitter saw, he was scoffing himself on pizza at 1 a.m. this morning, and so we'll see if his pizza-fueled rampage of this tournament can continue into today.
Dmitry Butakov, place 30. Very rarely seen at real-life events.
Yes.
Of course, the Magic Online champion, amazing player, but because of his residency in Siberia somewhere, it's difficult for him to go to these real-life events.
Good to see he's made the trip out, as has Autumn Burchett, who also was on the English national team last year. She is, one of the most quietly talented standard players in this entire region. So big things expected from her, as you would expect. Let's move back now to our game between Per Sturson and Rob van der Burg. Again, perfect manner for van der Burg. Easy game. Goblin Chainwhirler, Resplendent Angel, History Benadia, turn 3. Doesn't have any of them, but that's not the point, Simon. He could have cast them if he did have them.
Pair also with a slower draw. No Champion of Wits, for example.
Does have a Supreme Will, though. That's a nice use of his mana here to get rid of that Khan, Scion of Urza. I like this card. Nice and flexible.
I really like it. I think I will put that in my Turbo Fog deck.
And we've got Champion of Wits now coming down for Sturson on turn number 4. Going to slam and jam with some Turbo Fog at German Nationals?
Maybe.
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 I know you're very excited to play in the tournament. You don't often get to sit down and play competitive Magic.
That's the main reason to attend German Nationals for me. It's actually a rather long trip.
Oh, yeah?
The other side of Germany, but I'm flying out there to compete.
Nice. Here's a Rekindling Phoenix. Because you're down in Munich. And where's Nationals?
It's in Marl.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yes, the famous German holiday destination, Marl. Where's that? Up near like Hamburg or what?
No, it's between Münster and the Ruhrgebiet somewhere. No,
all right.
North Rhine-Westphalia.
Oh, sure. Okay. Now we're talking. Here's a glory bringer. We are certainly talking here. Van der Burg going to exert this bad boy. No, just get in for 4. Okay. Looks like he might have been reaching for a little exert token there, but not the way that it goes. That's the last round of Nationals tournaments, right?
I'm not sure, but there are a bunch of them next weekend.
Yeah, well, good luck to anyone who's competing in those. It'll be very exciting to see the teams assembled for this year's World Magic Cup being held in December, I think. Here's a never to return on the Glory Bringer, but a seal away to take care of this champion wits. That's a nice answer to the Eternalized creature.
Yeah, much better than exerting Glory Bringer, because then you have the Eternalized version to deal with, although there will be one maybe next turn already.
And this, I mean, this deck is obviously super, super sweet, but I just don't know how many turns you can afford to pass with 4 untapped mana doing nothing, stone cold nothing.
Yeah, actually,
and a Torrential Gearhulk as well.
I was
back a Supreme Will.
I was a bit surprised that Pear didn't, for example, use one of the returns. You don't need 2 returns in your graveyard, but if he has such a powerful play in Torrential Gearhulk, that's completely understandable.
Now, Vanderbilt is holding a cast out, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see it snapped off here before Sturson has a chance to untap. I mean, this is where you obviously got to pick that opportune moment, just as Captain Jack Sparrow taught us all.
Yeah, but here you can see the issue. Most of his cards traded 1-for-1 with the blue-black mid-range deck, but Pear has 3 more virtual spells in his graveyard. The Torrential Gearhulk generated an extra card advantage, and now Liliana is threatening to do the same.
Liliana going to beef up that graveyard a little more. Here's a zombie token as well. Back to Vanderburn. He needs to find some action. His deck is full of it, but I think he just found a basic land. He's moving those enchantments off to the side in a fashion that suggests he's got a play to make. Okay, it's an Ixalan's Binding.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
Still doesn't solve the problem of slowly but surely losing the card advantage battle, but at least creates something that resembles board parity.
And now a zombie getting across for 2. We're going to see an Eternalized Champion of Wits here to up the clock a little bit. Mildly irritating, Simon, that the Champion of Wits is still tapped under that seal away where the other creatures and Planeswalkers aren't, under their respective enchantment removals.
But as you know, seal away exiles a tapped creature.
Oh, so if it were to be untapped, it would have this seal away would immediately fall off. Much like a Daybreak Coronet falls off a creature if you remove the only other aura enchanting it. I see. That makes good sense. All checks out there. We have a 4/4 Champion of Wits now. Draw 4, discard 2 for Per Sturson. And as you say, Simon, pulling further and further ahead. But Vanderburn needs something special off the top. I think he's just found another Ixalan's Binding.
Yes, but that's another 3-for-1 for Pear. So suddenly, even if Rob keeps dealing with everything on the battlefield, he is going to be facing more and more threats that generate more and more value.
And Vanderburn doesn't put the binding on the table here. Looking for a juicier target than a 4/4? My friend. It's optimistic to say the least here.
Well, maybe he's already playing for his outs. He knows, for example, that he can top deck a Glory Bringer against a 4/4 on the battlefield, but he can't top deck something that beats, for example, a Liliana necessarily. Although Glory Bringer is also good against Liliana, I guess.
But still, he's going to be dead next turn. Going to have to fire off that Ixalan's Binding as Sturson draws another 4, discards another 2. A huge hand here has been assembled.
Is he going to discard to hand size at the end of turn?
Wow. Hasn't played a land so far. Yeah, so it looks like he's going to dodge that particular bullet there with 6 cards in hand. Oh, no. Another play. Plays for days. Argos Bloodfast. Back to Vanderburg, who has essentially a very, very short amount of time remaining to keep himself in this one here. Has to fire off this Ixalan's Binding.
It was a good run, Riley. Was a good run.
Oh, the run continues. It's 7-2. That's fine.
The question is in which direction.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. The run can start to go downhill. But, well, for fans of the Angels and Dragons deck, I'm sure you'll be able to see it on text coverage later on. Frank Carson, as I say, frothing at the mouth at some of the numbers that came together in this list.
Especially the number 4.
And 5. Shalai, Voice of Plenty. It's going to be Vraska's Contempt on the Shalai, and that's going to mean 6 points of uncontested damage coming across to the tapped-out Vanderburg. He's down to 2. Sturson as well. Scarab God in hand. Going to deploy Gonti, the Lord of Luxury here. Nick, one of your best top 4 cards, says Sturson. Please and thank you.
Another 2-for-1.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen Hostage take out the Scarab God yet. This is a massacre.
Yeah, it's pretty savage here. Vanderburg unable to find the the pressure that he needs. And with a memorial to War off the top, it's not going to be enough. And so he goes down in straight sets. Per Sturson, though, kept a cool hand in the face of unknown danger. And hats off to him for navigating what could have been a tricky matchup, to be honest. I mean, ultimately, the blue-black mid-range list, it plays that very similarly. Leverage good removal, play value creatures, get ahead on the board, get ahead with cards in hand. But ultimately, I mean, it can be. Let's not take away from the fact that facing an unknown matchup can sometimes be daunting. You never know what's going to come next.
You have to decide where your removal goes, when to deploy your threats, in which order, how to discard these cards to Champion of Wits. I think it's actually difficult if you play against it. Much more difficult if you play against a deck that you don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So well done to Per Sturson. A very well-earned victory for him. My friends, right now we're going to take a break. We've got Time Walk Magic coming up on the other side of these ads. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here at GP Brussels after this. Welcome back to the tournament floor here at GP Brussels, my friends. Time Walk Magic in the chamber. We are ready to fire it off in round number 9 here at this standard tournament. We are going to get underway with Alex Stok and Florian Koch. We have Stok versus Koch. And Alex Stok, surprising to see him play mono black here. This is a deck that's well and truly off the beaten path. You would have thought he's playing a Stok list, Simon.
Yep. I haven't seen Dredgehade in a while. Is Dredgehade in there?
Just absolutely stonewalled there. Wow, that was a prime piece of gear there, my friend.
It wasn't. It was good. It was good, Bradley. It was really good.
But yes, Cabal Stronghold as a 4 of the MBC Dream, well and truly alive, and with Beta Swamps as well. Alex Stok, I already took my hat off to Per Sturson. I have to put it back on to take it off again now. But this list looks super, super sweet. All these spicy one-offs: Torment of Hailfire, Argyl's Bloodfast, Josu Vess, Walking Ballista, and then some classics we don't see too often, really. Eldest Reborn. Remember old mate Toffel, Toralf Severin, doing very well at GP Copenhagen with his Eldest Reborn list.
There was a black-red list, right? And now it's in the mono black list.
Yes.
We actually saw the Eldest Reborn be really, really good yesterday as well. Getting back, I think it was Liliana, something like that. Really, really absurd.
But the card I'm the most excited about in Stok's list here is Battle at the Bridge. Because that can be... He's playing 2 of them. So I guess this matchup could be characterized as Stok, Koch, and 2 smoking Batals at the bridge. That one, I will concede that one was not as rock solid as the one previous. But there's no... Unfortunately, there are no Barals in either list here, so I couldn't go for the low-hanging fruit. Would have been perfect if Koch was playing post-board Barals, so we could have had Stok, Koch, and 2 smoking Barals. In any case, Simon, I sense your humour gauge is wearing thin here.
Mm-hmm. True. I was talking to Florian yesterday evening.
Oh, yes.
And he said something along the lines of, this mono green deck is not very well positioned, is it? Why didn't anybody tell me?
If only he had a highly critical friend and associate who could have explained to him the nature of the mistake he had made by registering the list.
Yeah. I actually thought about it, and then I figured, if he has practiced with the deck that much and he enjoys playing it, who am I to tell him otherwise?
Who are you to aim criticism at someone, Simon? You've certainly never done it before. Cabal Stronghold now for Alex Stok. Looks like Koch has had to discard and sacrifice to the Eldest Reborn, so already the Saga's getting its value. And now we're going to see a Field of Ruin destroy this blooming marsh. Now we've seen Koch in the feature match area previously. He doesn't play any swamps.
No, he has a Black Source still in play, and this is game 1, so it's actually almost irrelevant here.
No black cards to speak of in Koch's main deck, just the 4 Scrap Heap Scroungers as pseudo-black cards, of course.
And I'm going to put it this way. This Field of Ruin is the least of Florian's problems in this game.
So the return side of never to return there, going to generate a zombie. Stok will take his value where he can and ships the turn. All 2-2 coming into play now. Contest that Servant of the Conduit. And Koch once again suffering from mana issues. Not the first time we've seen this happen, Simon.
Well, he did have to discard a card. All his creatures have been dealt with. Lanovalve's one of them. So overall, I don't think it's super surprising that the mono black remove all your stuff deck has a good matchup in game 1 against mono green.
Still, Eve Champion being reanimated thanks to the Eldest Reborn. Not only can it go after creatures in opposing graveyards, also Planeswalkers. Obviously no Planeswalkers in graveyards just yet, but the power of the card is very high. We haven't seen too much action from the Eldest Reborn, but the card's going to be in standard for a long time.
I expect it to be exactly this kind of card that will always show up from time to time, but it will never be the key card in a deck.
I'm really interested to see if, with the addition of the Golgari Swarm to the standard card pool, once we head back to Ravnica, if there is a much more sort of value-oriented... Remember the old Abzan Reanimator list that when Return to Ravnica was around? Something like that, in which case the Eldest Reborn would be fantastic. And a value-driven, grindy Reanimator list. We shall see. Very, very excited, as I imagine many people around the world are, about our return to Ravnica. It's where I cut my teeth on competitive Magic, Simon, with, in 2012.
Also, the first Ravnica, an amazing set for constructed. Also, really interesting, intricate, I would say, for limited.
Yes, I hear it is one of the best limited formats of all time, right up there with things like original Innistrad, Dominaria, Rise of the Eldrazi.
I mean, looking back with today's standards, I would even say I wouldn't want to now draft, let's say, a Ravnica or especially the triple set format too much. But back in the day, it was really something very unique.
Yeah.
With the guild structure being something completely different from your traditional
just orthodox drafting paradigms. Sure. Yeah. Well, it'll be very exciting. I'm sure I'm not the only one who is all aboard that particular hype train. Here's a Vinemare now. Llanowar Elves doing a good job of continuing to develop Koch's mana, because he just can't find that fourth land here, Simon.
I mean, in theory, Vinemare should be tremendous in this matchup.
Yes. Can't be blocked by anything.
Can't be blocked.
Hexproof
Can't be
5/3.
targeted.
It's the biggest invisible stalk we've ever seen. Looks like the invisible stalker has found his trusty steed in this situation.
Oh, maybe he's sitting on it.
We would be able to tell, Simon. We wouldn't be able to tell. Stok now. Sends one below decks. And looks like the expedition for some hidden booty was ultimately successful. Big attack now from Stok, but again, the Vinemare eats up a zombie here.
And Florian going for the value block, not wanting to trade with the Steel Leaf champion. I believe he's been holding a Galta since the beginning of the game, so he really wants to get that down.
And look at this, a kicked Josu Vess. This is not something we see in Standard very often. He's going to make a huge number of these zombie knight tokens. Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in an actual game of Standard here.
That's like 8 2/2 menace.
8 2/2s. I don't think they have. Do they have menace? Yes, they do have menace. Yes, because they're zombie knights, not just regular zombie tokens. And that's gonna. I mean, that's gonna be enough. You got to answer that straight away. And I don't think Mono Green has the tools to do that. So, Alex Stok just rattling off a huge win there. And look at this. Is this modern? Turn 1, bolt the bird. Here's Greenbelt Rampager as well. But this shy little elephant has to return to the hand now. Here's Treasure Map for Alex Stok. This card's fantastic.
Yeah, especially in this deck. Mana hungry, and you want as many swamps as possible. Then later on, you generate card advantage. Artifacts not easy to deal with for a lot of decks. Very easy for other decks.
3 mana here now for Koch is going to power out Ronus the Indomitable. Looks like Stok may be having mana issues of his own here. Can't see any lands, but Treasure Map may be able to help him there. Yeah, keeps that on top. Won't be surprised to see that that's a swamp.
And that was an upkeep activation.
Yep, smart stuff from Stok there. Means he's got a fatal push. Looks like double Vraska's Contempt hiding out the back of his hand. Don't know what that card in the middle is, though, Simon. That's Battle of the Bridge. And a Doomfall there, rounding out the hand for Stok. We're going to get a good look at it now, thanks to this Duress.
Not what you want to see as mono green.
No.
Exile, 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 kill, kill.
Just mono removal here for Stok. And then a nice little value engine in his Treasure Map. He's got a good shot at hitting his next couple of lands as well here to Stok, thanks to the scry ability of the map.
I think the card that's probably best here is, in general, okay, Vinemare, of course. We already mentioned that. And then the ability to protect your creatures in general. For example, Blossoming Defense.
Yeah. Yep, really important card in a removal-heavy deck like the one being leveraged by Stok.
Because if Stok goes for, like, let's say a 4-mana removal spell, and you can just answer it with a 1-mana pump spell, that's huge.
I like this pick from Koch here as he takes the Doomfall with the Duress. It means that he's removed the only unique effect from Stok's hand. All of the other cards do the same thing. You point him at a creature, the creature goes away. Doomfall is the only card that does anything different in going after the hand.
I agree. And also, it's a bit tricky now for Stok to navigate this with him really wanting a land, but he can't scry for it and still have 4 mana available. So he's kind of priced into trying to top deck an untapped source. Ooh.
Doesn't find it. Sorcerer Spyglass instead. Bit of a dudski right now, although it can shut off that Ronus.
Why is Sorcerer Spyglass in this in his deck after sideboarding against mono green?
Well, it's not even in the main. It's brought in specifically here by Alex Stok.
I mean, there are a few cards you can hit with it. Heart of Kiran.
Scrappy.
Sure, Scrappy Scoundrel, but you have so many exile effects.
Yeah.
And the 3/2 is not even your main issue. I disagree with that. Don't see the need for the Spyglass.
Well, here is the Spyglass. I'm going to name Ronus the Indomitable, and Koch with a redundant copy in hand, in addition to the elephant we saw earlier, the Greenbelt Rampager.
Koch almost has lethal here. He can attack for 13.
And Stok unable to do anything else, essentially. We know the contents of his hand. Koch has already seen it. It doesn't look like that Fatal Push is going to be turned on anytime soon to take care of the Steel Leaf champion. So rough stuff here for Stok. He's going to take a pasting, thanks to both the Ronus and the Steel Leaf champion. Sorcerer Spyglass doesn't mean that Ronus can't be activated. Well, sorry, named. It means exactly that it can't be activated. It can be... Oh my goodness me, I've just tied my tongue up in knots. It doesn't mean that it can't attack, and we're seeing that happen right here and right now. I got there in the end, Simon.
Yep.
Consummate professionalism from me, as ever.
It's early.
Looks like the Greenbelt Rampager finally hit the dojo enough to strap on the belt and jump into the fray here. Still not that impressed by a Greenbelt. Maybe once he gets up to, Actually, you know what?
Purple Belt Rampager.
I don't know the order of the belts well enough to guess. I was going to say blue, but maybe blue is actually above.
No,
it's below.
It green? Also really depends on
the discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, in karate, I think it's purple, brown, black.
Yep.
Then, in practice, even the brown belt has 2 different levels and these kind of things. So,
like brown prime. And
you actually want to be talking about cues and dance instead of just the colors of the belt. If you are really serious about martial arts.
Okay.
And as we know, one of the expert commentators here is serious about martial arts.
No, it's not that serious. He's only a brown belt.
Yeah, in the most deadly fighting sport ever created, I guess.
I have so many stories to tell about Raf Levy's career as a fighter. I'll get to them when I can. Here's a battle at the bridge, and look at this. These treasures working double duty here. Alex Stok has just taken a big old biscuit from the table and double dipped it straight into that hummus there.
So that's X and a black, but it has improvise.
It does,
which we mostly see in the Mono Blue Storm deck these days. And then one of Florian's creatures will get -X/X, and Stok will get X life in the process.
One second. Do you have to tap treasures to sacrifice them?
Yes.
So this doesn't work at all.
You can't improvise and sack them.
No, you can't do both, and it looks like Stok tried to do that. Yeah, you can't do both here. You cannot double dip. So he's gone to use this, he's gone to dip it into the hummus after already having taken a munch of the biscuit, and the judge has come over and said, "Oh, my friend, that's disgusting. Don't double dip."
Treasure tokens are just like Lotus Petal.
Yes.
Unless I'm completely mistaken here. You can sacrifice them for mana, or you can improvise. I would say improvise is strictly better.
Yeah, sure. The situation here, though, for Alex Stok, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, just reminding you, this is Time Walk Magic. We can't interfere with this. This is a this is a pre-recorded match here. If he wants to get an extra mana into his X, he can tap the Sorcerer's Spyglass.
I mean, we also wouldn't interfere for that because that would be outside his system.
That's very true, but it's just
stop the game.
Stop the game. You're playing suboptimally. Here, can I give you some advice? You should be targeting this creature.
But it's a good catch, yeah.
Yeah. Looks like a judge is there intervening. I'm going to use this opportunity to tell you a little bit about Rafael Levy and his career as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. So he's a brown belt, and I'm not mucking around. He's obviously very, very good at what he does. I was rather disappointed, though, however, the first time I ever met him at GP Moscow many years ago. And obviously I was a bit overwhelmed because I was sandwiched between two Hall of Famers, him and Frank Carsten. It was my first ever gig on the European coverage circuit. Anyway, went out to dinner with him that night, having a chat, and I was talking to him about his fighting because I knew he did that sort of stuff. And so I was asking, like, very much like a kid would ask someone who, big superhero, like, what would you do if someone came at you with a gun? And he's like, I would run away. I was like, oh, well, that's a bit boring, but I guess, they'll shoot you, and, that's going to hurt.
Also really smart.
Very smart. I mean, he's a smart guy. And I go, all right. How would you fight against someone if they had a knife? And he's like, I would run away. I'm like, well, what? He goes, I don't want to fight someone with a knife. They'll cut me to pieces. Like, I'm not interested in that. I'm like, mate, you've dedicated like a decade of your life to learning how to fight, and you're just going to run away? He's like, yes, of course I am. I'm like, all right. And then, I can't remember who we were at dinner with, but it was a bloke who was a bit bigger, like taller and a bit more bulky than he was. I'm like, oh, well, how would you take him down? He's like 100 kilos. I'd never fight him. I'd run away. I'm like, what is even the point? Why do you walk around in this silly dressing gown with your belt tied around your waist if you're not even going to fight anyone? I think Raf recently held a clinic for many French Magic players. I saw.
Not the first time.
Really?
No, he's done this before. Before Pro Tours or during testing, he takes players to the dojo.
Yeah. Asserts his dominance both on and off the battlefield. I guess that's a battlefield of a different flavor, isn't it?
The dojo.
The dojo. Yep.
This is also quite the battlefield here with the rules.
Yes, looks like the rules battlefield at the moment, but it's going to be resolved ultimately with the battle at the bridge, removing the Steel Leaf champion, Stok, ultimately seeing his way clear to removing the 5-4. Still not tapping the Sorcerer Spyglass, however.
No comment about that. No, but
no, we don't want to offer any outside assistance at this match that was recorded several minutes ago. Oh dear, Alex Stok, my friend.
So Stok is actually dead on board here.
Okay,
this is the sad truth.
Yeah,
and he's desperately trying to find his way out of this situation.
Yeah,
but without an untapped treasure token.
Yes.
He's just not going to be able to cast that fatal push. And Florian has just been waiting for this.
Doesn't waste any time at all in closing out that game there. So a slight misstep from Alex Stok. He'll be kicking himself after having a look at exactly how that one played out. But all the same, we equalise things now at 1-1 with Stok and Koch now going to game number 3. We can look at the sideboards for these two players here. We've already talked about Koch's sideboard yesterday, so let's have a look at Stok's to kick things off here. A single Bontu's Last Reckoning, 2 Dispossessed, 2 Lost Legacy, and 2 Sorcerer Spyglass, in addition to 4 copies of Duress and 4 Essence Extraction.
Essence Extraction, yeah, that's for the smaller creatures, for example, the red creatures.
It's 3 mana, deal 3, gain 3.
Exactly, yep. And it's colorless and 2 black. Of course, the number of black sources basically irrelevant in this matchup. But really, honestly, Alex doesn't need a lot of sideboard cards. His main deck should be really good against mono green. The card I'm most concerned about is actually the Vinemare.
Yeah, because Stok is just playing a huge amount of removal, overwhelming amount of removal, more removal than you would think Koch would be able to successfully navigate. And as a result, you'd have to give him the edge in a vacuum. Is there anything that Koch can do post-board to change that?
He has an additional Vinemare to bring in. He can try to circumvent some of what Stok is doing by bringing in some Planeswalkers, which would actually make the Sorcerer Spyglass a lot better than it was this game that we just saw. And the best thing for the mono green deck is still Duress, if you ask me. Just try to take away the key removal spells, the solutions to Vinemare, and try to apply those blossoming defenses at the right moment.
Now, let's rewind a little bit and talk about what happened there with Stok at the last game there. There are a couple of things to point out here. The first of which is this bloke is under the bright lights, the dazzling lights of the feature match area. Had some mana issues early on. Was in a tough spot after Koch really applied a very effective beatdown on him, and was potentially, I mean, I don't know. I'm using this from the cues we got from just this overhead camera here. Potentially a little bit flustered after, a high-pressure situation in which, there are a lot of moving pieces. So, I mean, I don't be too hard on the bloke after having made a bit of a fumble there, because it's a difficult needle to thread. We often sit here and watch some of the best players in the world who have been in the feature match area 400,000 times. They're used to it. They know what's going on. They're never going to make mistakes like that. But I want to commend Alex Stok for still retaining some composure, moving on swiftly to game number 3, recognizing that the jig was up, even after having, played in a manner that didn't necessarily result in the best outcome here.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we witnessed there was the fact that Battle at the Bridge is such a rare card to see play.
Yeah, it's a weird card.
It's a weird card, and it's not even a corner, like a key piece of the mono black deck list. So all of these things combined, I think it's an easy mistake to make, an easy oversight to not quite grasp the potential of the card in that situation. Here, I dislike, and I like the Doomfall at the same time. I dislike it because it wouldn't have been able to take care of the 5 power creature on the battlefield. At the same time, taking out a Vinemare is absolutely huge, because that's the card that Alex Stok should be most concerned about.
So Doomfall ultimately will resolve, snag that Vinemare, because again, nigh unanswerable by Alex Stok, can't be blocked, can't be targeted.
Yeah, only something like a Bontu's Last Reckoning would be able to take it down.
Servant of the Conduit going to be followed up by another 1-drop here. The green belt enters the dojo. And 3 men now for a Bontu's Last Reckoning. Nice one. Clean and tidy 4 for 1 there.
That's why you bring one in from the sideboard.
And even though Stok is going to have to take this next turn off, Koch's rather anemic follow-up there is a Scrap Heap Scrounger. And that dies real nice to Vraska's Contempt.
Well, and you can't fault Florian for not playing around Bontu's Last Reckoning.
The one of in the weird mono black list, yeah.
You have so much spot removal to worry about that you don't also play around a mass removal that might not even be in the deck.
So Stok now, after having untapped his lands, the turn after he played the Last Reckoning, and looks like it's going to be here. This is going to just be a Gonti now. He's got a decision to make. Khan, Gonti, never to return, Vraska's Contempt, all options. I like the Contempt, though, here. Just keep the board clear and ultimately start to apply some pressure later on, play that value game.
You wouldn't want to block. Oh, no, we have a game.
Here we go. All right, Vivian Reed off the top. And looks like Alex Stok is going to have a bit of a Vivian Reed of this card. So, broadly speaking, upstairs, draw some cards. Downstairs, blow up some stuff. And then the ultimate win the game. But we can afford to be a little bit more specific than that, Simon. Of course, the -2 ability, not going to be hugely relevant here, destroying artifacts, enchantments, or creatures with flying. But +1's a good one. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a creature or land, put in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. And, look at this hit. The big Viney M now for Koch.
The one card that Alex doesn't want to see found by the Planeswalker here.
So very problematic, although Stok does actually have an answer to it in the form of the Eldest Reborn.
That's true.
So
because there's no other creature on the battlefield.
Yes, and look at that. Going to immediately fire off that. No thinking required for him there. Away goes the Vinemare.
What a tough game for Koch here.
Yeah. Does have now an answer to the Eldest Reborn, however, in the form of Thrashing Bronze. Don, do you destroy the enchantment before it can reanimate something?
I think you have to.
Because otherwise something huge is coming back.
Vivian Reed?
Oh, yes, of course. Steel Leaf Champion, Divine Mare, all options, but you can bring back a Planeswalker. Little does Koch know, however, there is a second copy of Eldest Reborn in Stok's hand here. Gone to the Lord of Luxury now.
I do like taking the Vinemare and beating the mono green deck with its own weapons, but...
And the Oscar goes to Alex Stok after masterfully making it seem like there was a decision to be made off of that Gonti trigger. Did you see what it was?
3 lands and a Ronus.
3 lands in a row. And it's like, have a look at the hand. Which one will I take here? We'll see him up for best actor next year, I imagine, after that. Thrashy B going to take down LDR.
LDR?
Eldest Reborn didn't work. I was hoping you wouldn't address it.
TER, maybe.
TER, no, it's not. I wasn't saying LDR. It was LD, like eldest. Yeah, it was a truncation of it. Look, it really didn't come together there.
Okay, good.
Here's Kansai and Aversa. KSU, Kansas City University.
These 2 cards work quite well together.
Yeah, both of them are
believe.
actually it's a real packet of hot sauce there for Stok. Counts up his mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Ooh. Have I got to 10? I'm very close. And we see now Ronus the Indomitable. Back to Koch. The light going out for him. Yes, indeed. Has to offer the concession now to Alex Stok after, well, I tell you what, a roller coaster rides. We had a bit of everything, Simon. Had some smiles, had some frowns, had ups, had downs, had some laughs, had some tears throughout this round. But
some Bontu's Last Reckonings.
Yes, ultimately.
1 Bontu's Last Reckoning, actually.
Just enough. All we needed. We get another Time Walk Magic match lined up for us here. We're going to head over to Socrates Rozakeas and Thijs van Maaren. These guys at 8-0. Red Black Chainwheeler versus Mono Red Wizards. Is this another term for the Flame of Keld list we've been seeing flying around?
Let me check if this is actually a Flame of Keld deck. The Wizards deck doesn't have to have it, but usually it's an inclusion. So, actually, yes. The Flame of Keld is 3 off in this deck. Then you have probably the lowest to the ground red deck. The lowest to the ground Chainwheeler deck.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that you get to play Lightning Bolt in Standard, if you really want to. If it's worth the price, I'm not so sure.
Soulscar Mage, in addition to Gitu Lava Mancer, or like Lava Runner, I should say, and the Bomat Courier here for Van Maaren.
The mono red deck actually has some really good matchups. For example, with more burn spells, it's better against Turbo Fog.
Mm-hmm.
I like it against the mono blue deck. So lots of reasons to play mono red Wizards. This matchup is not a reason to play it. You are just getting buried by the slightly more expensive cards of the red black Chainwheeler.
Socrates showing no compassion for the Bomat Courier here. All of his work on ethics seems to don't seem to have prevented him from destroying the little 1/1. And the Goblin Chainwheeler, a very nice brick wall against these little 1-drops from Van Maaren. He's going to have a hard time getting through this one. Even the Curry Zev is a decent blocker in these situations. See what his next play is here. It's a 2-drop, and it's going to be a Lightning Strike on the Chainwheeler. In come the Clowns now, across for 3. And Rozakeas takes it. Hazard off the top now for him. Not going to be able to leverage the 5/4 Hasty Lady this time around. Just an attack for 3 for himself now. Scrap Heap Scrounger. A Braid in hand as well for Socrates Rozakeas now.
But right now he doesn't even have to do anything. Facing only 2 points of damage. He's on 16, winning the race by a mile. Has a hazard for next turn, maybe. No, most likely, actually. As long as you abrade at the end of turn.
Yes, I think that would be his chosen method here.
You're guaranteed to attack with hazard, and as we all know, there's no better feeling in the world.
Here's an Arncrop Crusher now for Van Maaren. And it looks like before attacks we may see this Abrade fired off. No.
Before attacks, so that Thijs can't make the Scrap Heap Scrounger unable to block.
Yeah, then it can't block double
twice
as much. Rozakeas now going to draw, finds a Hazard from his hand, a Mountain off the top, and in they come. Is this any good? Asks Socrates Rozakeas, applying a little bit of the Socratic method to Thijs van Maaren's face right now. as he goes down to 2. Anything off the top that gets you out of this one, my friend? Or are you going to be the one sipping on hemlock this time around? Doesn't look like he's got anything that's going to rescue him from this position. And no. Let's go to the sideboard here. Unfortunately, the bad news, my friends, is we have to cut this one short because we're all out of time. You may have heard the announcement in the background. We are actually going to head to our next round. We'll bring you the match update from that the match that we just checked in on there as soon as we've got it. But in the meantime, my friends, we do have to go to a break. And on the other side of it, Tim and Raf will be with us for continued coverage of GP Brussels. So stick with us on the other side of these ads. We'll see you back live for more Magic.